السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا مولانا محمد عبد الله ورسوله، بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة، فجزاه الله عنا وعن كل المسلمين خيرا. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. أما بعد، رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. ربي زدني علما والحقني بالصالحين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. My dear respected sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to another weekly episode of our sisters class where we come together and we continue our discussion on this book, The Ideal Muslimah, a very important book that lays out a structure of how to build ourselves in respect to our connection with Allah, our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with our parents, our relationship with our spouse, our relationship with our children, our relationship with relatives, our relationship with our fellow sisters in Islam. And we have one final subject matter that will begin in a few weeks, and that is a Muslim woman and her community and society at large. How does she interact? How does she engage? Remember, a society and interaction in a society is only as good as the foundation, and the foundation was a Muslim woman's relationship with her Allah. So this has been a 302-page journey. We're on page number 302, alhamdulillah, and this has been close to a year and a half of this collective journey where we have chipped away slowly and tried to understand, comprehend, and inshallah inculcate into ourselves these beautiful teachings and words of advice. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow myself and all of you, my family and your family, to inculcate the important qualities necessary for our strength, our perseverance, our patience, our endurance, and our ability to do good on this earth. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. So that being said, 2 weeks ago, we ended on the topic about how a Muslim woman loves her fellow sister for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a very hard thing. If you understand that there are 7 categories of people who will be under Allah's shade, the shade of His throne. His throne will be present on the day of judgment, and below it will be shade. And in that shade, 7 categories of people will be able to find harbor and comfort and protection on the day of judgment. One of them, one of those 7 categories, are 2 Muslims who met for Allah. They love each other for Allah, they meet for Allah, and they depart for Allah. There's no interior, no exterior motive aside from the love of Allah that brings them together. Now, you know how important it is to go to the masjid, because when you come to the masjid, you meet people for the sake of Allah. They're coming to pray, you're coming to pray, they're coming to learn, you're coming to learn also. It's a prime area and it's a prime opportunity for yourself and myself and for everyone to actually gain this grand virtue. But again, it's a virtue, it's grand, and it takes a lot of work. If it was that easy, then the whole of humanity would find themselves under the shade of Allah's throne on the day of judgment. But that's not going to happen. And very few selective people will. One of those 7 categories, as I said, people who come together for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so the subject that we're discussing right now is how can we acknowledge and identify what love for Allah truly is, and how can we inshallah help ourselves accomplish that love for His sake. And so with that, alhamdulillah, we are going on to the next subject matter, and that is she does not forsake or abandon her sister. They say a friend in need is a friend indeed. Truly, You know your friends at a time when you are the most vulnerable and that your need is the most apparent. Interestingly, even in times of need, many people don't find the comfort and solace from their fellow family members. Forget finding that solace and comfort from their sisters or from their brothers. Here we're talking about if our friendship is founded on the pleasure of Allah. The ahadith of Rasulullah actually highlight a grand virtue for actually being there for someone at a time of need. So you see, if the friendship was established on the roots of love of Allah, then acknowledging that they can go visit their brother and sister who is sick and get 70,000 angels praying for them, who would let that opportunity slide? No one would. Why? Because the friendship is based on Allah, and these are opportunities to gain from Allah. And so, in this selfish motive to gain from Allah, they will go out of their way to be there for their fellow sisters and, of course, for their fellow brothers. If you understand this point, you will realize that friendship that's based on personal matters, personal issues, personal agendas, will see a collapse when it comes to one side needing something that the other side feels that is of no value for them to reciprocate or to even participate in. If you understand this, my fellow sisters, so important that a true Muslima who is friends with her fellow Muslima will never ever abandon her at the time of her need. Remember the last hadith that we ended with 2 weeks ago? I know it's been 14 days. But the Prophet Muhammad in that hadith said, Al-mu'minuna kal-bunyan yashuddu ba'duhu ba'da, that the believers are like a structure. When you look at the house that you're sitting in right now, if you look at the houses outside your window, every house is bunyan. It's a structure. It's a fortified structure built with concrete and bricks and with drywall and wood frames. What does this mean? Something which is a structure is so firm, every part of it is reinforcing the other. The foundation is reinforcing the ground, that's reinforcing the walls, that's reinforcing the rooms. It's all intertwined. It is all intertwined. So the Prophet ﷺ said that the believers, all believers, were kalbunyan, we're like a structure. Yashuddu ba'duhu ba'da. Each aspect of it strengthens the other part of it. So may we, as an ummah, here today, become that structure for one another. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. It starts small. Nothing happens overnight. Nothing happens instantaneously. It takes time. And it's this time that we are embarking upon the journey of patience. And it's a journey of patience. It's a journey of time. It's a journey of endurance that will allow us to see the fruits of our effort. But if we don't take the journey, if we don't make the effort, then we can't sit back and assume that it's not worth our time or effort. When Rasulullah is saying that when you become that structure, you will see one another reinforcing each other. You will see that the ummah will be strong. You will see that the needs will be met by each other. You will see that we will graciously be there as a shoulder for people at the time of their pain, just as we accompany them or we are alongside them when they rejoice and they are happy. If we can see that, my fellow sisters, we will be able to experience the words of the Prophet Muhammad. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow myself and you and all of us in this temporary world to actually experience this fortified ummah. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. So let's go on to today's discussion. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. She does not forsake or abandon her sister. The Muslim woman who truly understands the teachings of Islam does not ignore the fact that Islam, which has encouraged brotherly love and mutual affection, is also the religion that has forbidden brothers and sisters in faith to hate or abandon one another. Again, the same religion that encourages love and mutual affection is the same religion that has forbidden that we hate one another or abandon one another. Islam has explained that two people who truly love one another for the sake of Allah will not be separated by the first minor offense that either of them may commit, because the bond of love for the sake of Allah is too strong to be broken by such minor matters. The Prophet Muhammad said, "No two people who love one another for the sake of Allah or for the sake of Islam will let the first minor offense of either of them come between them." This hadith was recorded by Imam Bukhari. Let me explain this point. Irrespective if your friendship is based on your hobbies, your neighborhood, your social status, your business connections, your kids' connections, whatever your friendship is established on, or if it's established on the foundations of love for Allah, there's always going to be conflict. There's always going to be difference. There's always going to be mistakes. Things will happen. Someone might break something in someone's house, or someone might say something offensive. It's going to happen. But guess what? If your friendship was based on exterior factors that we talked about, it might be a deal breaker. The friendship might grow sour, and ultimately those two once upon a time friends will become bitter enemies. And that happens. We've seen these things happen in our world. But if your friendship was based on Allah, of course you're going to be hurt that if someone said something or they did something which you don't expect them to do as a friend. But you'll allow it to slide. Why? Because you know that these matters are too small or trivial to become the termites that will eat away on the bigger picture of our friendship. So you let that go. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ is saying. No two people who love one another for the sake of Allah or for the sake of Islam will let a first minor offense of either of them come between them. We learn to look forward and look beyond these things. Why? Because we know it's not worth losing the perks and benefits that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in store because we have our differences. Anger may strike a woman in moments of human weakness, and she may hurt her sister, which could provoke harsh feelings of conflict. In such cases, the Muslim woman should not forget that Islam does not ignore human nature and its vulnerability to changing emotions. For this reason, Islam has defined the length of time during which anger may subside. This time is considered to be how much, sisters? 3 days. Islam knows things will happen. Islam knows emotions will be triggered. Islam said 3 days. Don't talk to each other for 3 days. Islam didn't mean that if you have an issue, hey, I'm not going to talk to you for 3 days. No, if something happens, don't use the hadith to ignore someone. Use the hadith to repair what's happening between you and someone. And so, hadith has given us 3 days. After this time has passed, it is forbidden for the two conflicting parties to refuse to seek a reconciliation. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "It is not permissible for a Muslim to be estranged from their brother for more than 3 days, brother for brother, sister for sister." It goes both ways. Both of them turning away from one another when they meet. The better of them is the one who is first to greet the other. So when 3 days pass and you understand that the emotions have spoken, that through your silence your anger has been displayed to the opposite party and they realize it, now just say salam and continue. If our whole world was based on friendships and relationships that are of the type that we have in our world today, what would be left? There's never been a time where two people haven't fought, where two people have not disagreed, where two people have not gone on a limb against each other. You know what? They've gone off by the wayside that, I'm mad with you and I'm not going to talk to you. Things happen. Islam said it's going to happen. Islam knows it's going to happen. Allah knows that. That's why He prescribed 3 days is kind of cool off and get back. Not cool off and start creating circles against each other. Start creating parties against one another. This is not what Islam is about. Islam is about forgiving, overlooking, pardoning. And that can only happen if something happened. So you don't overlook or pardon good days, you overlook and pardon bad days, controversial days, days where things don't go according to what you expected. These are the days that you're supposed to. These are the days you're supposed to practice these qualities and embed them in yourself when these type of opportunities arise. The word Muslim obviously includes both men and women when it occurs to hadith like this, which set out the regulations governing the lives of individuals, families, and societies in the world of Islam. Hence, we can see that the Muslim woman whose soul has been shaped by Islam does not persist in ignoring her sister, no matter what reason. Rather, she will hasten to bring about a reconciliation and greet her with salam, because she knows that the better of them two is the first one to greet the other. If her sister returns her salam, both of them will share the reward of reconciliation. But if she does not return the greeting, then the one who gave the greeting will be absolved of the sin for forsaking her sister. Again, the one who gave the greeting will be absolved of the sin of forsaking her sister, while the other, who refused to return the salam, will have to bear the burden of the sin alone. This is made clear by the hadith in which Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said that he heard the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam say, "It is not permissible for a man to be estranged from a believer for more than 3 days. If 3 days have passed, then he should go give salam to him. If he returns the salam, both of them will share in the reward. But if he does not respond, then the one who gave salam will be absolved of the sin of estrangement." Let me explain this, my fellow sisters. Very important. People ask the question, you know what? I go and give salam to them, but they never respond to me. I go and greet them and I try to be nice to them, but they ignore me. What is the case here? Who holds the sin? Now, irrespective of which party was wrong, both parties are now not talking to each other. They are estranged parties. We know this now. Now, it's not about you're wrong, so you better fix it. No, you are wrong, you better fix it. Nothing's going to happen. Whoever takes the first step and says, you know what, I need to fix this relationship, they get the reward of reconciliation by Allah. This is amazing. Allah will give them a special reward for reconciling. Now, if this one went forward and said, Assalamu alaikum, and this one responds, both share the reward. But if this one goes forward and says Assalamu alaikum and this one ignores and walks away, then let it be known at this second, if any of the two of them or both of them were to die, the one who initiated the salam will be absolved of any accountability or sin in this world and in the next, while the one who ignores will be held accountable. Look, my fellow sisters, sometimes we don't gauge our emotional state, and sometimes we take friendships to cloud nine. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh for joining us from London, UK. We always welcome you and all our listeners and all our attendees, and we're grateful for your presence here this afternoon. So as I was saying, our emotional state sometimes takes us in a position where we take our friendships to cloud nine. Like, this is my best friend. We've been like written by God to be the best friends forever, and everything is so good. Like, she's my BFF, and it's fine. But guess what? If relationships have clashes, if children and parents have clashes, if husband and wife has clashes, if brothers and sisters have clashes, are you telling me that your friendship is so perfect and way beyond these relationships and nothing is going to happen? You have to be dreaming if you believe that. There's going to be clash. There's going to be differences. There's going to be disagreements. This is a given. The Prophet Muhammad is teaching us how do we get beyond those differences defines us. The differences don't define us. You know, if God forbid someone backbited against you and then you're like, oh, you spoke bad about me behind my back. What kind of Muslim are you? Astaghfirullah and stuff. Okay, it's done. If you want to use this incident to write off that person's Islam, good for you. But that is not what defines both of you now. What defines both of you is who reconciles and who is mature enough to move forward. Build your friendships knowing that they will break. Build your friendships knowing that they may not work out. Build your friendships knowing that today's friend could be tomorrow's enemy. Something very beautiful our teacher used to tell us: when you have a friend, don't tell them so much about you that if they become your enemy tomorrow that they can use it against you. And if you have distance and animosity with someone, do not say so much painful things that it will become a hindrance in re-establishing that friendship and bond tomorrow. Balance, my fellow sisters, is so important. And unfortunately, due to our emotional states, many of us in our friendships go all out. We put our guard down, we spill our heart, we say all our secrets, and tomorrow that same person, if they become our enemy, which now they have incentive to with the shaitan because they know so much about you, they could actually profit by hurting you. They can profit by morally destroying you. And so the friendships need to be friendships. Friendships shouldn't be this person's my BFF. Your BFF is Allah. Our best friend forever is Allah. And it's so sad that we cling onto the mortal beings, hoping that one of them will be our best friend, that we forget Allah has always extended His arm to be our friend. Allah has extended His arm to be our companion, to be our bounce board. You know, that when we're frustrated, we can talk to Him. When we cry, we can cry to Him. When we complain, we can complain to Him. When we tell a secret, we could tell Him our secrets. He's not going to go around and backstab us. He's not going to go around and use it against us. The world has, and the world will always do that. So friendships are important. You have to build friendships, but with balance. There's going to be differences. Reconcile. When you reconcile, reestablish the friendship on the premise that you're doing it for the love of Allah, only because you want to gain Allah's shade tomorrow, and that you want to gain admittance into paradise tomorrow. And that you want to gain closeness to Allah tomorrow. Do it for tomorrow. Don't just do it for today. All friendships that are established for today and today alone are the most shallow friendships. They have no foresight, they have no insight, they have no depth, they have no breadth. It's shallow, hollow, and it's fake. True friendship is that in Jannah we will be sitting together. True friendship is in Jannah we'll be laughing together. True friendship is in Jannah we'll be eating together. That's called true sisterhood and true brotherhood. May Allah allow us to establish that type of bond. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. It goes without saying that the word man in the context of this hadith refers to, again, both man and woman. The longer the period of established estrangement lasts, meaning that they're disconnected, the greater the sin of both parties become. As the Prophet Muhammad said, now listen to this very carefully. Even if the friendship is still okay, telling someone your secrets may put the friendship at risk because that person may reveal these because they make mistakes, revealing them and regretting it later. Very true, brother or sister. Thank you so much for joining. I don't know who the name is. It's Tofu, so I don't know if that's a brother or sister. Please forgive me. But yes, exactly. When you do tell them, even if the friendship is hunky-dory, people are humans. They forget. It may slip from their tongue. And a secret is never more than, if you've told someone, it's no longer a secret. There's no such thing as a secret between two people. That's not possible. A secret is only if it's with you. If you tell someone, it's no longer a secret. It's now become public information. Now, listen to this hadith, my fellow sisters. This one is really tough. Did you know that your friendships that become estranged could be a means of our destruction in the world and in the next world? No one thought that, right? It could have been, okay, my friendship could bring me closer to Allah, and if there's no friendship, then it's fine. No, no. That friendship that becomes estranged could actually accumulate enough sins to destroy a person. The Prophet Muhammad said, whoever forsakes their brother for a year or sister for a year, it is as if they have shed their blood. Now the hadith says, whoever forsakes his brother for a year, it is as if he has shed his blood. Let's take it the opposite way. Whoever forsakes her sister for a year, it is as if she has shed her blood. Goes both ways for brothers and sisters. This hadith is recorded by Imam Bukhari. That when 1 year passes and two of you don't want to talk, two of you don't want to come together, two of you don't want to be friends anymore, two of you want to backbite one another, two of you want to create parties against one another, it's as if you've shed their blood. Both of you. Both of you have now taken on the sin of murder. How many of us have committed murder? Imam, what kind of crazy question is that? I've never even picked up a knife or a gun on someone. Na'udhu billah. How could you say that? Very true. Sounds very insensitive, right? When someone asks you, how many murders did you commit? How could someone ask me that I've committed murder? I have never touched a gun in my life, right? Especially when the secret is a sin, we must not keep it, reveal these. We are not meant to reveal these, but must keep these as Allah has shielded us from exposing them. Very true. Sometimes the secrets that we reveal are sins. When Allah has shielded us, why do we talk about it? Jazakallah khairan for that. It's beautiful. Now going back to my point, I personally have never touched a gun in my life. How could someone even claim that I've killed someone? But now let's talk about in context of this hadith. Have you become estranged from someone? Has your friendship, once upon a time friendship, become hatred? Has it lasted more than a year? If it has, I am carrying the burden of the sin of murder. The burden of murder, it's sin. It's sin. You see, one is getting Laylatul Qadr and one is getting the reward equivalent to Laylatul Qadr. One is doing Umrah and one is getting the reward of Umrah. Two different things. They all are two different things. No, you didn't commit murder. No, I didn't commit murder. But I may be carrying the sin of murder on my shoulders. And the Prophet ﷺ said for 1 year, imagine if a friendship has gone estranged for a decade, 10 years. How many murders is that? That's 10 murders. Why did the Prophet ﷺ make such a great wa'id? This is a great warning. Why did he say this? He could have said it's like bad as, spitting in the masjid or missing a prayer. Why did he say murder? Well, because when two people become estranged, the illnesses that they produce in themselves and the illness and the vice that they make viral in their circles equates to murder. Because the backbiting, the slandering, the finger pointing, the harming, the you threaten one another. The threats can actually lead to a murder, God forbid. And that's not even the sin, that's another sin. So the Prophet ﷺ took the establishment of brotherhood and sisterhood seriously, just as he took the breaking of brotherhood and sisterhood seriously. And this hadith is one of many. How evil is the crime of forsaking one's brother or sister according to Islam. How heavy is the burden of the one who is guilty of this crime, that it is likened to the shedding of blood. Islamic system of education is based on mutual love and affection and ongoing contact. Therefore, Islam wants Muslim men and women to eliminate hatred and envy from their lives and not to give any room to those evil characteristics that contradict the brotherhood of faith. Hence, Islam is filled with teachings that describe the best ethics ever known since man first walked on the face of this earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, hadith Muslim, he says, do not break off ties with one another. Do not turn away from one another. Do not hate one another. Do not envy one another, but be brothers as Allah has commanded you. Can the sin of murder be forgiven if you forgive the person or make amends for your mistakes? Does that apply to non-Muslim friends? Yes. If you make amends, the sin will be forgiven. Allah is Ghafurur Rahim. Now we need to make amends. What does it mean to make amends? Very important question here. Does that mean you have to have tea together? Does that mean you have to hang out together? Does that mean you have to go on vacations together? Look, if that didn't work, don't go back there. If hanging around caused a problem, traveling together caused a problem, eating out together caused a problem, going to each other's houses caused a problem, don't do it again. But just be friends. Just say Assalamu alaikum. Just say how are you? Say I look forward to inshallah seeing you tomorrow. That's it. See, the problem in our Desi Arab African culture is the following. Either you're all in, and that means you're friends, or you're all out, that means you're bitter enemies and rivals. Where's the balance in this? The Prophet ﷺ said with everyone we should maintain at least salam. This is what we're learning from the teachings. So at least giving salam will uphold that relationship. Smiling will uphold the relationship, and that's coming up in the next chapter. Just smile. You don't have to go all out to make it a friendship. And you don't have to be all out from the friendship to show you're angry or to make a point. 3 days is good enough. Figure it out after that. So, to answer your question, even with non-Muslims, you know why? Why should we keep a hate list in our life? Why should our book of deeds have all these hatreds in it? Wayakum for asking the questions. That these are all the people you have hatred with, and these are all the people because of whom you're accumulating sins. Our account should be clean. Our account should be we have good relationships with everyone. The Prophet ﷺ, in another hadith that's recorded in the Sahihain, Bukhari, Muslim, he said, beware of suspicion, for speaking on the basis of suspicion is a worst kind of lie. You know, sometimes people are friends and their suspicion and their friendship is tested because they don't even have the guts, basically. I like to use the word. They don't have the guts to even ask, hey, I think you said this, or I heard you did this. If you're friends and you could talk openly. If you're not friends, it's proven by the point that when suspicions arise, you're unable to confront them. And if you do confront them and they're unable to receive it as something positive, it goes to show there was no friendship. If friendship is just Urdu mein kehte hame hamilana. They say in Urdu, it's an Urdu proverb, to say yes in every yes. That whatever they say, yes, they're right. I think this should, yeah. Because you think the friendship is established on accrediting them in everything that they do. Yes, that's right. If you hate that person, yes, that's right. If you want to jump off the building, yes, that's right. That's not called friendship. That's your biggest enemy. A true friend is someone who can advise you, who can correct you, who can confront you, who can question you, who can put you on a better path. That's what you call a friend. So if you're looking for that sister to be your friend, then make sure that you're open to their criticism. You're open to their questions. You're open to their claims. You're open to them confronting you. Why? Because that's your true friend. Nowadays, Nowadays in our world, families don't even ask families. Families don't even tell families. Why? Because they feel that will break the fabric of their family relations. That's not what family is about. Maintaining harmony isn't what family is about. Going through the storm together is what family is about. The Prophet ﷺ said in this hadith again, beware of suspicion, for speaking on the basis of suspicion is the worst kind of lie. Do not seek out one another's faults. Do not spy on one another. Do not compete with one another. Do not envy one another. Do not hate one another. Do not turn away from one another. O servants of Allah, be brothers, i.e., be sisters. Do not envy one another. Do not outbid one another in order to inflate prices. Do not hate one another. Do not turn away from one another. Do not enter into a transaction with others who have already entered into it. O servants of Allah, be brothers and be sisters. O Muslims, a Muslim is a brother of a Muslim. He does not oppress him, humiliate him, look down upon him. Piety is here. He pointed to his heart. And so saying, he pointed to his chest 3 times. It is evil enough for a man to look down upon his Muslim brother. The whole of a Muslim's being is sacred. Every part of a Muslim is sacred. Their emotions are sacred. Their eyes are sacred. Their heart is sacred. Their mind is sacred. Their body is sacred. Their soul is sacred. A whole of a Muslim is sacred to another Muslim. Their blood, their wealth, their honor is inviolable. I want to stop here, inshallah, because I'm kind of losing breath right now. So I want to take some time to, inshallah, rest. And I think there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to think about. I think the first call of action this afternoon, my fellow sisters, is how many murders have I committed? Remember, let's not go literal here. How many people do I have estranged relationships with? How long has it been going on? And if the severity of this sin will push me to reconcile, guess what? You can accomplish 2 things today. You can gain forgiveness from Allah for the sins equivalent of murder, and you can also gain the reward simultaneously for being the first to reconcile. All it takes is Salaam Alaikum. All it takes is, you know what? You're my Muslim sister for Allah. Whatever's happened has happened. I still consider you my sister. That's it. Simple. Don't have to go into details. Yeah, I miss those picnics, I miss those melas, and let's get back together, and let's, after COVID, go and celebrate. No, you don't need to do that. No takalluf. You're my sister for Allah. I respect you for that. I love you for that. End of story. Don't have to go all in, as I told you about this just a few minutes ago. Going all in does not define true sisterhood, and being all out doesn't mean that you make your point by that way. The Prophet ﷺ said, make your point with 3 days. 3 days, you get yourself back on track, she gets herself back on track, and move forward in life. Life, my fellow sisters, is too short. Life is too short. Do not stand in front of Allah tomorrow, unable to gain the shade of His throne, all because the sin of murder has accumulated on me, because I felt it not necessary to confront the estranged relationships that I'm a part of. Let's get to work, all of us. I'm going to do it also, inshallah. I'm going to call a few people and let's see how we could reestablish relationships. May Allah guide my heart, your heart, all of our hearts to do what is best. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to make us better humans in His eyes. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullah khairan for joining this afternoon. Please take care and inshallah keep everyone in your du'as. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.